Welcome to the Top 200 podcast with your host, Herschel Ford.
What's up, everybody? It's Herschel Ford from High School Top 200, and this is the Top 200 podcast Monday morning meeting. Welcome, everybody, back. Sorry about last week and not being able to drop one last week because my laptop is terrible. It's old. It needs to be updated. Keeps putting out on me, and I just couldn't get it to go. I recorded my podcast 2 times. Both of them got lost. I don't know where they went. Somewhere on my laptop. I went and got it fixed, and so let's see how long this holds out for. But I've got to get me a new laptop somehow. But obviously it's good to be back again, be able to talk about First 15 rugby, because that's what I love doing. I love going over the week that has just gone past. I love going over, the players that I saw, being able to watch as many games, and I'm getting more and more games because guys are giving me, I'm getting huddle accounts now, a lot more huddle accounts. I'm being able to, like this week alone, I've been able to watch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 19 games, and that's excluding the 4 games that were played at Quad. And so that's a lot of games. That's a lot of sitting in front of the TV, watching on YouTube, skipping past resets and stuff like that I have become pretty good at doing now that I've been able to do this with the longevity that I've had watching these games, of being able to find my own way of skipping past all the stink boring stuff and getting to solid scrums and plays and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just so grateful that I've been able to watch all these games, watch all these new players, watch all these different teams more and more often. Like I've said this before, that even I get to at least 70 teams around the country that I get to watch at least 5 games of the 70 teams that I've ranked in the top 100, and then the other 30 teams in that top 100. I'll say more, 80 teams in the top 100. I see about 70 teams 5 times, and probably about 80 teams 3 times at least. And it's trying to find all these lower ranked teams that I've got. Trying to get someone to, at least film the game at least once, or get a parent to at least film the game at least 1 or 2 times, or share with me like a big amount of their highlights, things like that, and so that I don't need to just go off coaches' reports or players' reports or parents' reports. I can actually see that for myself and sort of be my own judge and give my own real opinion on something like that. So with all these games that I've been able to watch, it's been solid that I get sent these, and some of them get sent in bulk, and so I get to watch them in bulk now. I get to watch, like, some team will just go, hey, we jumped on a bit late, here's our huddle account, and then I'll watch like 7 games that I've missed, and then I'll just watch them really fast through, like, skipping all the boring stuff, and just being able to see more and more of these players that I've seen before, and it's so grateful. I just love doing this stuff, and it takes a lot of hours, but I find my time in different places to do this. But I love watching this stuff, and I'm grateful that I'm able to do this and sort of be back doing this podcast too, because I know that a lot of people consume it this way. I should get onto audio, I think, as well. I used to do it before, and just the equipment and stuff, but I just have to make a better effort to do it and bring my equipment here to my other work where I can actually do this kind of stuff too. And so I think I'll get back onto audio for those that would rather do it so I don't waste people's data sitting in traffic and stuff like that. Like, Auckland's the worst place, but I mean, if you want to listen to my voice for like an hour while you're sitting in traffic in Auckland while you're getting to work, then hey, have at it. But I'll try and get it back to audio as well, and I'll try and put out more stuff on my IG. I don't know, let me know if I should start a Twitter, like a TikTok account. I mean, I know most of you guys, most of you kids on it, But let me know, because I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'll get my little daughters to do something too, my little assistants. But obviously first, let's talk about this quad tournament, and like big shout out to Wellington College for winning the quad this year. Honestly, I did not pick them from the start. I picked Whanganui to win the quad. To me, I just thought that quad, that Whanganui and Nelson was kind of the finals. But then even it proved, like even in that second game with Christ's and Nelson, that it was a lot more. And like I kind of thought about it too, as just like how much like the moment of something gives you that much more of an incentive to win and to sort of grab onto that adrenaline that you're feeling, and then make it a positive in what you're doing. And so I kind of like thought about it in that way and going like, so did Wellington College just make that occasion their occasion, being at home, you know, being in front of all those boys, which was so cool to see, like that school on that, you know, up in the stands, and being able to cheer their team on, things like that. And hold on, first off, Wellington, fix your field, man. Like honestly, that was so bad. And then I remember watching the Silverstream game that was just there not long ago as well, and the field was tragic as well. I was told that it was like a pool about 3 weeks ago. Like it was literally like a lake. But I mean, that can't be a new thing, right? I mean, Nelson just did up their fields, and theirs used to be terrible too. But like I guess expect from a traditional rugby school that their fields would be like the first thing that you'd probably take care of and make sure that it's, you know, right. But man, seeing that field was just so bad, and I just didn't expect it to be like that. Yeah, I just didn't expect it to be that bad. But anyway, congratulations to them. Congratulations to that coaching staff, the players, and from what I heard as well, you know, congratulations to, I guess, all the organizers, because I was told that like the whole sort of week was just really, really good too. That them as hosts, just everything was just perfect the way it was. So like, you know, it's always good for like boys to, I guess, you know, go to schools like that and then be able to sort of be, I guess, treated like kings in a way. You know, you guys are the main superstars and the main attraction and all that kind of stuff. And so apart from the field, I guess everything else was perfect. And it did set up such a good, I guess, story in a way that Wellington won it. And like, even in all honesty, like even in the finals, Wellington did not even look like the better team. And it's not like, there's not hate or anything like that. It was the way that the tries were scored by Whanganui just looked a lot cleaner, and in the way that it was executed. And Wellington was the scrappy team that took every small opportunity and then turned them into like these big moments. And like Jacob Kennedy was probably, if there was like an MVP award of that tournament, he would probably be the guy that got it. And then maybe like Will Johnston or like Tully Yoasa, maybe the other ones. But I thought that like Jacob Kennedy was probably, yeah, I think if I was to pick like an MVP of that tournament, he would be the one. Because I felt like he stood out in both games, played his moments, got like, you know, really turned on sort of turned on the opportunity side of things and sort of gave their team belief, if you know what I mean. And he was the one that sparked it. Ellie was like another one. Lupo was another one. The blind side for Wellington that I really liked a lot. Obviously, like Archie, Sims was another key guy for them. Charisma Faitala was another one. Both year 11 players. So we're going to see 2 more years of these 2 kids. The other one I really liked was Harry Law, the lock, who I've really enjoyed watching over the past few weeks now. And I feel like he's going to have a really big year next year. Because like he's one of those kids one of these white kids that doesn't have the body yet. And it either comes in next year or comes in the year after that. But if you watch his like skill set and the way that he does things, if that was me, I would tell him, bro, you are on track. Don't worry about your body yet and catching up and all that kind of stuff, because it will eventually happen. But the skills that he's got is way above everybody else and what I see in terms of locks in year 12. And there's heaps of locks in year 12. And to me, he's like one of the more strongest skilled kind of locks that we've got in the country. And you know, whenever his body catches up to his talent, he's going to be a really good lock or blind side that I can see. And if he's one of those kids that can really put on some muscle, I feel like he's going to be one guy that we should really watch out for. And Harry Law is such a good player too. But like he was another one that I really liked as well, and thought that throughout those 2 games that they had, him, Ele, obviously Jacob as well, were guys that I really looked at and I thought, far out, these guys, you know, made some big changes in this game. They made big changes, they made big moments. Ele had some really good hits and solid tackles that I thought were key tackles in like these moments that stopped momentum of a break happening. And he did it in the Christ game and he did it in the Whanganui game too. And like I think he would be one of those, I guess, one of the key players as well in that tournament for Wellington College. And I'd probably put him 4th actually, to be honest, after probably Will and Tully, and then I'll probably put him, for me personally, I would probably put him because he was like, I thought he was big time for his team. And I thought he played so well. Like I just like that way in which he played and what he brought to the side. Now, in saying that, and like obviously, when it comes to the ranking side of things, and people, and I've already been asked this question as well, is just like, so now that Wellington has beaten Whanganui Collegiate, in terms of ranking, what does that mean? Because Whanganui Collegiate was number 10. They beat Nelson, who was number 7. So you would expect them to go up. But then you're beaten by Wellington College, who I have ranked, where have I got Wellington College? At 37. And it was funny because I got 36 as Christ College and then 37 as Wellington College. And in that first game, I guess that ranking sort of held true in a way. Because, you know, the score line, you know, wasn't that far apart of 32-26. And so, and like I've said, like every team is only separated by a few points, you know, on those rankings. And so those two ranked so close together, you know, Christ just on top of them by 1, to me is just like 33 to 39 is all pretty much everybody's on the same kind of level. It's just like those small I guess, differences set these guys apart kind of thing. And so that kind of held true. But then them beating Whanganui in the finals, then I also asked, raises the question too. It's just like, okay, so now that where it's happened, that's what's happened, how far does Wellington move up? And the problem that I have with this is, and what I'm obviously was thinking about over the weekend, or ever since, they won quad, was that 100% they have to move up. But then how much do they move up? And I don't just take your one win and then go, okay, yeah, you beat them, I'm gonna switch you, I'll switch you now to a top 10 team, because that's just not the way it works. Everyone has these really good games and really good moments and all that kind of stuff. And so it doesn't just work like that where you just take someone's spot because you beat them in that spot. It doesn't also, reign true that they're a better team. They just were better on the day. And most of the time on the day is just kind of what matters. But it doesn't give you that all-round evaluation of what that kind of team is. Now, the reason why I say that too, and this one's going to be a hard one to place, because if Wellingtons are being asked to move up, St. Bernard's, who beat them last week, are they also being asked to move up too? Assuming that, well, if you guys can beat Whanganui, then we can beat Whanganui because we beat you fellas. So does that mean that we move up? Does it also mean that everyone that beat Wellington College also all moves up? It doesn't, you don't all move up, but it does make it a lot better. It does give you a lot more credibility when the teams that you beat other teams, and you go, okay, well, if you guys can beat them, then I think we have a pretty fair shot that we can beat you too. Doesn't mean that you can, it just means that in one multiverse you can probably see that happening. On this earth, maybe not. Because Because if Wellington beat Whanganui, St. Bernard's beat Wellington. St. Bernard's also on the same day last week, on the Wednesday last week, St. Bernard's also lost to Francis Douglas, 38-14. And Francis Douglas lost to Whanganui Collegiate by a few tries or so as well. Now that full circle kind of thing matters. That full circle thing matters. Because then you're also taking into account that on this day that they were better than us on this day. Let's have another game tomorrow. Would you be better? When you look at it, you're just like, no, that team does look like the better team. Whanganui, to me, on that day, looked like the better team. They, to me, just coughed it up. Wellington looked at them and go, oh, you guys are going to stuff this up and we're going to win this game. And that's exactly what happened. To me, Whanganui lost that game for themselves. Wellington was smart enough to go, oh, you guys are coughing this up and we're going to steal this. and we're going to have this celebration on our field, on our day, in our mud pit, and this is going to be one of those things that haunts Whanganui. Because I know Wellington, to me, I don't think Wellington fully believed that they were better and that they were even going to win. But what I do think that they believed was, oh shoot, we just scored straight away. Oh damn, we're 14 points up. Oh shoot, they go on back. Oh no, we're moving up again. Oh hold on, we can take this like a little bit. And then like as it moved on and on and on, Wellington College looked at the moment and go, oh shoot, I know how to handle this moment. Whanganui on the other hand is like, why aren't we beating these guys? We're clearly better than them and we still can't shake these guys off. 70 minutes comes, Archie kicks it, takes the lead, kick off, all that kind of stuff, and then they stopped them right in that last moment. And they stole a win away from Whanganui Collegiate, and Whanganui Collegiate lost that game for themselves. Now, you could get angry at me for like me saying this on both teams, but I 100% believe if we got these two teams again tomorrow and go, let's have a game, my prediction is that Whanganui is going to win that game and it's going to be by about 3 tries. That's just what I'm saying in terms of like how I see this, just based on these scores. Based on games that they've played before. You know, based on like the competition that they are in. Like Francis Douglas, and this is not a shot at Francis Douglas at all. Francis Douglas has only won one game in the CNI. And if you've been following this page, I've said so many times that the CNI is the hardest competition to be in right now. And where is it? Francis Douglas's scores. Here they are. So Francis Douglas, right? Lost to Fielding 15-3. Lost to New Plymouth in like their tradition 20-18. Lost to St. John's 34-17. Beat Rathkill 62-14. Lost to Whanganui Collegiate 43-22. Lost to St. Peter's Cambridge 36-17. Lost to St. Paul's Collegiate 18-5. Oh, they got 2 wins, and then they beat Lindisfarne before they beat St. Bernard's. Right? And then if you look at those scores, Francis Douglas lost 15-3, lost by 12 points to Fielding, lost by 2 points to New Plymouth. They scored 17 points and a loss against St. John's, which is 2 tries and a conversion, right? In the penalty. They scored 22 points against Whanganui Collegiate. They scored 17 points, they scored 5 points, and then they scored 31 points in their win. And so like, in a hard competition like that, they're still managing to score tries. They're still managing to put these things together. Now, I say that because when you look at Wellington College, they lost to Hastings 60-7. They only just beat St. Pat's Town 16-14. They lost to Scots College 31-0. They beat Rongotai by 60 points, which was great. But then the next week they went and lost to Wairarapa 29-26. Then they lost to Silverstream 32-19. And then they lost to St. Bernard's 14-7. Now in terms of like rankings and stuff, and I have them at, you know, at 30, 35, 30, 37. Now, how high should I push them up is the question. How high, taking into account all their games over the season, and then like even looking at it as like, is that progression that what they're doing? Because if I look at the quad could actually be the opportunity that they needed to then start looking upwards. I would have been more happy to see it in terms of going, cool, they beat St. Bernard's, and then they were able to beat Christ College, and then they beat Whanganui Collegiate, and then I don't know what happened to the Mana game on Saturday, whether they postponed it or whatever, but there wasn't a score. But if they beat Mana, it's like, cool, now you've got a string of wins that like is in your favor of something. But then like to start the quad with like a loss to St. Bernard's, which is a team I think you should have beaten, and guys telling me that there were 5 starters missing, it was like, yeah, but they weren't your main starters. They're not the core of your group. I think Charisma was the only one that was missing from that game, who's Charisma Faitala, who's like a constant starter, but he's year 11. Like, you can't look at a year, as good as Charisma is and as good as Archie is, you can't look at those year 11s and go, those are our main players. They you know, if they're not there, then we're not. It's just like, well, hold on, then you got more of a problem. Now, giving me that excuse to say we didn't have our you know, we had 5 missing starters. It's like, okay, what does that mean though? Like, are you telling me that Jack Riley didn't play, Archie didn't play, let's say Israel Taimi didn't play, did Elliot not play, did Harry not play? Like, is that what you're saying? Like, are you saying that all these main guys were out? Like, did 5 of these big main guys, were they all out? Did Jacob not play? Like, for me, and the way that I see it is just like, if you're going to give me something like that, if you're going to give me that as like a point of like, well, that's the reason why we lost. I mean, see, look, and I'm looking at the starters here. Jacob still played. I mean, Boston filled in, who is a like really good player too. Boston Thurlow as well. Ezekiel Fitty was there. Maybe Fitty's just a different one because I mean, Archie was still there. You still had Ellie. Ellie was at 8. Jack Riley was at 6 in that game. Ben Corlett was still there. Harry's there. Ollie Church came in, who's a new one. But I mean, Daniel Hawes, Finn Taylor, Israel, like, they're all still there. Like, those are all your main guys. And to say that 5 starters are not there, it's like, okay, I was a starter too. If I wasn't there, I don't make that big of a difference. Like, that's, you know, and I see Wellington as a better team in St. Bernard's. But just like that on the day, like, and I think if they play St. Bernard's tomorrow, I think Wellington would win, even though they lost. Because I still just see them as a better team. I mean, Joe McGuinness didn't play, and then they had, you know, Ollie in there, but I mean, like, you can still cover him. You can still cover him. Jacob Kennedy not playing. If you told me Jacob wasn't playing, oh yeah, Jack Riley didn't play either, Ellie didn't play, Harry Law was out, Israel didn't play, and then, you know, Daniel Hawes didn't play either. I was like, oh, well, those are big, massive players. But hey, I looked at the team list and they're all still there. So, like, my thing is, like, that's not the excuse. But at the same time, where do I move them up? Because they have to be moved up. They proved something on that day that they proved to me, and the way that I read it is that they saw a big moment, they saw the opportunity, they knew that what it would do for their school, and then they took it and they won. They won a game to me that they shouldn't have won, but that's the idea of it. You're supposed to win games that you're not supposed to win. You're supposed to go out there and try and get that game. And they did. All praises to them for that. But I'm not moving them up to a ridiculous, like, sort of, like, they're not jumping 20 spots just because they beat a top 10 team. That's just too much off one game. Them beating Christ College is cool, that's fine. I mean, you're ranked within that, you're ranked one behind them. To me, like, I think of them and Christ College played the 10-game series, I honestly wouldn't know who to pick. Because I think they're kind of the same. I think they're balanced quite the same. But when you beat a big team like that, it's like, fine. Who do we move them up in front of? Because I got Francis Douglas ranked at 48. Just behind Hibbs. Hibbs is also playing really, really good. We should probably be in front of Wellington. And Hibbs guys are probably pretty annoyed at me because I haven't ranked them in front of Wellington. I've still got someone like Wellington College who's playing really, really well in the 1A, which is the hardest competition to be in. Not the closest competition to be in, the hardest competition to be in this year. I think if Liston played them, they would have a really good run, against them. I think Rosmini would have a really good run against them. John McGlashan had a massive win against King's High School, who's also ranked in front of Wellington, and they beat them. Am I going to put them in front of King's High School? No. No, I'm not. I'm going to rank them closer. I'm going to drop King's High School back a bit, and then I'm going to move up John McGlashan, but I'm not going to rank them in front of them. If they happen to do it 2 times, then yeah, of course I would, because it's like, oh, well, that's a bit different. You've been in the same team twice. Now let's say they beat other teams in that caliber. Of course, you're starting to prove yourself. But that's what I'm saying is, it's like, if this becomes the start of something for Wellington College, then yeah, I'm going to have to go, okay, yeah, cool, I'm going to start moving them up, because you deserve that. But not after a loss. Not after a loss to St. Brendan's, who should have beaten. And then you beat Christ College, who was like in that range anyway you could beat on any given day. And then having just that one big win of Whanganui Collegiate, and then going, oh, we deserve to be like a top 25 team. It's like, no, I don't think so. They've definitely got to move in front of Christ College, who's at 36. I think they'll move in front of King's College, who's 35. Definitely in front of Marlborough boys, who just lost. This is where Whited Upper is going to have to, that's where the decision of do I move Whited Upper is still ahead of them in that as well. And then New Plymouth is going to be the next one. Do they jump in front of New Plymouth, who is at 32? Then I got King's High School, I just told you about, who lost in a big way to John McGlashan. Like, now does that swap where it's just like, okay, do they move past King's High School, and then how much do they move up in front of them to how much do they move back? Because Auckland Grammar's also been playing really good. St Andrews just got a loss on the weekend too. May just had a good win. Massey just had a good win as well, and then St Beach just lost to Christchurch boys. But if you're looking at that from Wellington to Massey College, that's 10 spots. 2 outside of the top 25. I don't think that deserves that high of a jump. Because let's say I give them that 10 level jump, 10 rankings jump, and then they lose the next game. I mean, they still got Hibs to play. I actually don't know if they're better than Hibs. Kind of shows that Hibs is probably a better team if you look at what they've done. And I'm not too sure who to put in front, because like I kind of feel like I'm disrespecting Hibs a bit for having them still behind Wellington when they should probably be in front of Wellington. I've seen Hibs four times already this year. I'm hoping to get a bit more games from them, but I've seen 4 of their games this year. Really do like what I see from Hibs. And I hope that they actually have that group of players that can actually take them through the next year and the year after. I don't know if they do. I'm not too sure if they have that kind of, if they have those kind of numbers there. But this year they're doing great. This year they're really good. And so that's where I am at right now with such a huge win from Wellington College. Is where am I moving them up to? How far do I move them up? Do I move them up without the idea of like, or the fear that they're going to lose that next game? Because that's the other fear to it too. It's kind of like that feeling of just like, I put my faith and trust that they are on a good roll, and then they end up dropping a game that they shouldn't. Good for the other team, because that's kind of what that's what I just said. I said, teams that beat teams that they're not supposed to beat is kind of what you want to do. That's the reason why we play. It's like, oh, you think they're better than us? It's like, yeah, I do think they're better. And then they go, and when they go, oh, there you go, in your face. And that's kind of what it was, is that Wellington just gave it in your face to everybody that sort of doubted them. And now they got to hold that up. Like, yeah, we beat a top 10 team in the country. It's like, cool. A whistle's about to blow. Are you going to win this game too? Are you going to show why you won that, that beat that top 10 team in the country? All those kind of things that come with it as well. And I think there's going to be some other movers, because like even with the rankings things, like you got to watch out for. Scots College is the other one too. Scots College beating Silverstream the way that they did, and like 32-19. Yeah, 32-19 is a good score, and I got to be honest, that was such a messy game. Like, it really was kind of messy. Real fast pace. I don't think Silverstream should have played or tried to play at their pace, but I felt like they were trying to, I guess, prove that they can also play at that pace, but I don't think they should have. And there were just a lot of wayward passes, a lot of drop balls, a lot of, and I mean drop balls like you drop the pass. I'm not saying you're a drop balls. That's not what I'm saying at all. Structure seemed a bit messy, but that's kind of how Scots College plays, in the way that because they're such a run and gun team, those guys just know how to support, and I don't feel like it's more the structure and how they set up. I feel like it's more like first one to make a break wins, and then the first person to offer their support to the runner is the number 2 winner. And once they make that first break, and those guys just automatically magnet themselves to that guy, and then they give all the support in the world. And Scots College is like the best supporting team like ever. They've just got so many guys that just know how to show what they have, or like show their opportunities and show their options right there and then. And most of the time when there was a break, there was always a guy on each side of him going, oh yeah, I'm ready for the ball when you need to pass it. And there was like things like that, and it was just waiting for that first break to happen. And I kind of have this feeling that Scots probably had 2 more tries in them, that they coughed up themselves. I think that other one where, and I'm sure he's kicking himself for it, but you know, picking him up and slamming him, and it was just in a, and I know he's annoyed, so that's why I'm not saying his name, but I know he's going to look at it and go, oh, why did I have to do it there? Like, it had no effect on the ball or anything. And I understand that, like, you know, don't try and, you know, bully me or push at me, or, you know, try and take me out, it's like that kind of thing. And that's kind of why he did it. I understand why he did it. In all honesty, I probably would have done the same. But when it ends in a try and then they go back to what you did, and, you know, that's kind of the stink part of it. And I feel sorry for him, but, I mean, I feel like there were maybe 2 more tries. Probably should have been a 40-point game kind of thing. And yeah, and like even now, I'm not even too sure if in the finals it's going to be closer. And I'm just picking now that if I was to pick now, I would pick Scots College to win the finals. And I kind of have no doubt about this one. I feel like it's just going to be Scots and Silverstream in that finals anyway. I feel like Silverstream's got to play with the best side possible to start working on combinations and start working on their adhesiveness for the team, or to win that Wellington final. Because right now I don't have them winning it, but I also don't think that they can't win it, because I do think Scots is beatable. The only loss of the season is to St. Kenny, so, and the Quad tournament. So like you know, it's not like an easy team to beat. They're a hard team, but I think that Silverstream can do it. Yeah, it's not like yeah. I went to the 1B. So the other week I went to Howick. Howick versus Ongehanga, which again, and I spoke to one of the guys there at Ongehanga and about their up and down season that they've had, and then losing to Avondale just on Saturday is just not what I thought would happen. Because Ongehanga is a good side, but I didn't think they would lose to Avondale. And like me and the guy that I was talking to from there, is like, we talked about how up and down it was. And when I see scores like that, I think that same thing is just like, oh, this is one of the up and downs. Then they're going to play a hard team and then almost beat the hard team, and then play a team that they should beat and then either just win or just lose. And I don't. The Avondale is one of those ones too. They should have won that game. But I went to the Ongehanga Howick game, saw what guys that they had, and then on Saturday I went to the Botany Downs in Tamaki because I knew that was a big game. So showing up at that game, I thought was one of the best games that I just chose to go to. And I wasn't too sure which one I wanted to go to, because I had my Mags and St. Paul's game that I wanted. That was the one that I wanted to see from the 1A, and I thought, which one, should I go somewhere closer? And I kind of thought like that. I always kind of plan it around that. It's just like, well, if I'm going to go to this game at the 1A, then I'll find one of these teams that's not far from the ground. For some reason, I just chose Botany and Tamaki, and I thought, I know those are two really good teams. I'm just going to go see what it's about. And I want to say, and I think if you have seen this Botany side, I 100% would put up that Botany loose trio up against any loose trio in the 1A, with Randall Baker at 6, Julius Filifilia at 7, and Michael Pretorius at 8. All three of these guys are all around 6'3", looking like they all look like around 6'3", 6'4". All big, solid guys. Real fast, athletic, strong kind of players. And I honestly would put these guys up against anyone, any loose trio in the 1A. I actually think that if you took those three players and you put them in a 1A side, they change the dynamic of that team or that forward pack straight away. Just those three guys. And I think that if they had been playing 1A, obviously they would be a bit more sharper, a bit more fitter, a bit more stronger. Instincts will be a little bit better just because you're playing against tougher talent. But those three as a whole would match up against any loose trio in the 1A. And they change they just change the dynamic of a team straight away based on just their size, physicalness, their toughness. Even though they're all big guys, are pretty fast for how big they are. I really liked Randall Baker. I really liked him a lot. I really thought that and maybe he's just one of those guys, and I seen him last year as well a few times, but it just looked different this year. Obviously a year older and all that kind of stuff, but he's just playing a bit different. Even Michael was the same. I was just like, yeah, I remember these guys from last year. It's just like, but I don't remember them playing like this. I don't remember them looking like this. And then the thing that I liked about it is that they were playing against a Tamaki College team who's really, really good as well. I mean, Corsini Mapapalangi, who's the number 8, and I remember him playing last year and how good he was last year. He's still good this year. And he's another guy that I think there's just like, yeah, he's a 1A talent. He's definitely a 1A talent. Vainikolo Fafita, who's the tight head prop, and then Fasi Masua, who's the loose head prop for Tamaki, the 2 props. I think those 2 are 1A props, the Super 8 props. I think Manu Anaya is another one. He's the tight head prop for botany, and like, to me, like, even when you look at it, it's like, oh, he just looks like he's a bit out of shape. That's about it. But if you see him, because he played the whole game, you look at him and go, oh, holy crap, like, he played the whole 70 minutes. He wasn't one of those guys that was just hope all the time, you know, hands on the waist and hands on the knees, like trying to suck in the air like that. Like, he was actually like every single ruck. So to me, it was just like, oh no, it's not like, he just doesn't look like that. He's just deceiving, like one of those guys. I mean, R.I.P. to Mikey T from Sacred Heart. Back in the days, he was kind of the same. You thought he was out of shape, and then all of a sudden he's got like a break and he's making him, you know, making a runaway. Like, and Manu was kind of like that too. It was like that he was stuck into everything. And these guys are the, and this is where I think that the 1A and the 1B have to figure something out, because
Yes! Stand, Calvin. Heel. Not on his feet, heel.
There's a lot of talent in that 1B that are all 1A talented players. And I'm not saying get them out of the 1B, that's not what I'm saying at all, but there has to be some leniency for those top team players. Like MJ Williams is another one who I think is a New Zealand secondary school lock. But he's in Orihanga and no one's paying attention to them. And I have this fear, and I think that he's got this idea that, oh no, I'm just, you know, 1B is like, no, you're a 1B player, but you're 1A talented. You're a New Zealand secondary school talented level player. You just don't think that's what you are. But I know that's what he can be. I think if he, and like, this is where hopefully he gets picked up by the Blues under 18s. I hope, you know, Randall, Julius, and Michael all get picked up by the Blues under 18s. You know, there's, and like even those guys from Howick, like watching Howick, I was going, man, these guys are all 1A talent players, but they're just not going to be looked at as a 1A talented player. They're just going to be looked at, oh, like he's just good because he's a 1B. It's like, no, he's good because he's good. It's not good because he's just good for this level. It's like, no, not at all. He destroys on this level. There's a difference why he destroys. Because he shouldn't be on this level, he should be up. He just happens to go to this school. But then that's where kids get overlooked because of that. Because when you evaluate them, you kind of think like stuff like that. But that's where I look at this and go, well, if I'm going to do a ranking, I look at Randall and go, if I'm putting Randall in Hamilton boys, Tauranga boys, Scots College, if I put him in Christchurch boys, it's like, oh, they're making this guy a flipping superstar. We're not talking about Randall Baker, who comes from Botany Downs, just at 1B school. If I was to put him at Christchurch boys, they're going to go, oh no, we need to get this Randall Baker kid from Christchurch boys and we'll see what he can do in New Zealand Barbarians. Oh no, I'm taking MJ Williams. And it's like, no, you mean the MJ Williams from Ongehound? It's like, no, he's the MJ Williams that, goes to St. Kennigan's. He's the MJ Williams that goes to Silverstream. Oh no, he's the one from Hastings boys. And they go, oh yeah, that kid. I was like, bro, he's still the same kid, man. It's just because you see the uniform and that's how you do it. When I evaluate players, I look at them, I go, okay, if he was playing for a team like this is where I would rank him. With that talent that he has, his team is just not, they're just not there with him. And that's perfectly fine. Because you're put in that grade because of you guys as a team, not you as a player. It's you guys as a team. But some of these guys in these teams don't deserve to be in there. That's just the school that they go to. But that also gets them overlooked because they go, oh no, he just goes to Ongehanga, or no, he's just at Howick, or he just goes to Tamaki. It's just like, so what does that mean? Oh no, he's just from Kaipara, or he's just from he just goes to Hauriki Plains, or no, he's just from Tuakau. I was like, so what does that mean? If you put him in this team, is he good enough? If you take that kid from Tikawiti, is he good enough? If you take that kid from Dunstan or from Wakatipu, is just like, if you put him in Otago boys, are we still talking about that same player? Because all of a sudden you're going, oh no, this guy's a star. It's like, yeah, but that's the difference. And like that's why I got rankings like this. It's like, because there's a lot of boys out there that play for these teams and you're graded based on your team. The Jacobsons went to Cambridge High School, but they were New Zealand secondary school players because the talent of those. Now, they were just lucky that they had an older brother who set the standard at New Zealand secondary schools and went to Hamilton boys, and then they go, hey, you got to check out my little brothers, and they go, oh, he's got little brothers, yeah, but they're staying at Cambridge. Oh, okay, yeah, that's right. If this thing was instead, it's like we might have even missed out on those kind of guys. Now I know that they say it's like, oh, if you're good enough, they're going to find you. 100% no. I know that 100%. And so these boys that are in the 1B and like all these players that are in 1B, like the other guy that I really liked as well was Christian Cover, who's the captain for Tamaki College. He was another guy that I thought, I was like, man, I wish I could see him in this different setup. Like if we put him at Wesley, is that different? Like, are we watching this different player now? Like, I look at it like that. I look at Julius, and I look at Michael, and I look at Randall, and I look at Corsini, I look at, guys like that. Vainikolo, MJ, Overeen, like, all these other guys that are in the 1B, and I think, man, I think we'll be looking at them different if they were at these other teams. And that reality sucks, it really does. But that is how it is. Now, we got some games, I hope everyone's going to have good holidays. There's a few games on, and I've got to figure out where they all are and if they're even down on the calendar. So like, if you are playing games, just let me know so I can see if I can actually come out to your games. Big week this past week. Hope everyone rests up really well. I hope everyone recovers, or those that have 2 weeks off Still do something, still stay active. Work on your injuries. Make sure if you need those rests, have those rests. Don't try and be a He-Man or anything like that. And try and be a tough guy and just like, it's like if you need that rest, take that rest. If you got some head bumps, take those rests. Don't push yourself to do anything more than that. But that's me, Herschel Furrow from High School Top 200. Love you all, man. Peace. Later, ball.